Two Premier League giants are ready to drop 80 million euros on Jules Koundé. Who's winning the race? Manchester United are about to snatch a Bayern star for absolutely nothing. Newcastle suddenly the favorites to sign Dusan Vlahović. Casemiro to MLS, the club he's joining will shock you. Lewandowski staying at Barcelona or finally leaving? All this and much more in today's episode. Slam that like button and let's dive into the maddest transfer rumors right now. Arsenal and Manchester United are eyeing a move for Leon Goretzka. Fußball.com reports that both English heavyweights see an opportunity to land a top player on favorable terms and have already started laying the groundwork for a deal. The German is expected to leave Bayern this summer on a free transfer. Final talks took place and both sides agreed that this 8-year chapter is coming to an end. Vincent Kompany still values Goretzka's experience and physical profile and continues to use him this season, but he cannot go against the direction set by club management. Bayern are moving into a generational transition, and the 30-year-old midfielder has been given a clear message: his future lies elsewhere. For Manchester United, Goretzka looks like a potentially perfect fit for the new structure. Old Trafford is heading into a major midfield rebuild. Casemiro is expected to leave after this season, and his level has come under scrutiny. United need a senior player who can screen the defense and provide leadership while younger players develop. Bringing in a player of this pedigree on a free would be Ashrood's strategic move for a budget that is already stretched. The club understands that returning to the top is not only about high spending, but also about capitalizing on market opportunities like this one. Goretzka's box-to-box ability could give Manchester the leadership profile they currently lack. Arsenal's interest is not new, and it is concrete. The Gunners struck Lyon during the winter window. When Mikel Merino was injured and ruled out for the rest of the season, Mikel Arteta searched for alternatives. At that stage, Bayern refused to release the player in the middle of a title fight, and Goretzka himself did not push to leave. In summer, though, the landscape will be very different. Arsenal are now an established team in the title race, and their project appears more attractive for Lyon in terms of silverware. With the current trajectory of the London side, they look like the frontrunners in this battle. There is of course a Turkish option too, as Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are also active. But in practical terms, moving to the Super League at age 30 would mean accepting a step down from the elite level. The Premier League presents a different category of challenge. Signing Goretzka for free is the kind of smart business that can influence next season in a major way. Now it comes down to the player's own choice: United's rebuild or Arsenal's title project. Jules Koundé is still with Barcelona, but latest reports suggest his future in Catalonia is highly uncertain. A number of top clubs are tracking the French defender: Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Bayern. Even so, let's be realistic. The main competition is expected to come from the Premier League, where clubs can finance deals at this level. Fichaja states that Barcelona are ready to open talks at 80 million euros. Since Transfermarkt values him at about 65 million, the Catalans are clearly targeting a bidding war between the English giants. 80 million euros is a massive figure. A subscription to this channel, though, costs exactly 0 euros, and that creates a paradox. Many of you watch every video, but still act like cautious sporting directors. You evaluate the asset, but don't finalize the move. Don't be like United in the transfer market. Stop hesitating. Complete your transfer and hit subscribe now, before I set a release clause. So what is the logic behind selling a player who has been a key part of the defense and is under contract until June 2030? At first glance, it looks like a long-term problem already solved. The internal picture, though, is more complex. There are active discussions inside the club. Hansi Flick expected a higher level from Koundé, especially regarding consistency and leadership. He was meant to be a reference point. Instead, performances have been irregular, solid games followed by worrying lapses in concentration. Koundé still reaches a top level, but over a longer sample, signs of stagnation are appearing. Barcelona's management see this clearly. This could be the optimal time to cash in while his stock remains high. For English clubs, Koundé's value lies in his versatility. Right now, he is one of the most attractive options on the market. He can play at an elite level both in central defense and at right back, the exact zones causing headaches for Liverpool and Manchester United. Start with Liverpool. Frequent injuries among right backs continue to disrupt the team structure. Depth is critically insufficient. The club also need medium-term planning in central defense. Ibrahima Konate still has no renewal, and Virgil van Dijk isn't getting any younger. Koundé could be an ideal hybrid solution: strong cover on the flank and an immediate partner or long-term successor to Van Dijk. For 80 million, Liverpool would secure a player who solves key weak points for years to come. At Manchester United, the need is even more pressing. The club have required right-back reinforcement for a long time. Diogo Dalot has good spells, but is he truly a title-winning profile? That remains debatable. It is notable that Old Trafford has still not resolved this structurally. If Koundé becomes available, United would have a clear opportunity to act decisively. And central defense matters too. Harry Maguire's deal expires at the end of this season, with no clear decision on his future. The Red Devils need dependable depth, and the Frenchman is an ideal fit. For Barcelona, a Koundé sale is a financial equation. The club urgently need to stabilize their books. The Blaugrana are still operating in a difficult economic climate, and every major asset is seen as a way to generate funds. A deal at €80 million would bring in significant revenue and massively reduce wage pressure. If a bid close to that asking price arrives, Barcelona will have a serious decision to make. What is more important, retaining a defender around whom doubts are growing, or seizing the moment to bank €80 million and reconfigure the project? English clubs have the financial muscle to execute this transfer. If they arrive with a concrete offer, Koundé leaving would be a logical outcome for all parties. Manchester United and Casemiro are officially preparing to part ways, but the Brazilian is leaving on professional terms. There is no sense that he is already checked out, and he isn't shying away from work and training. The holding midfielder is putting in the effort as if pushing for a new deal, even though everyone knows his time at Old Trafford is up. The Red Devils are acting out of cold pragmatism. Casemiro turns 34 at the end of the month, and his wages are a staggering £375k per week. Without his age and wage level, United's bosses would have triggered the 12-month extension option without thinking twice. But with financial fair play tightening its grip and Jim Ratcliffe launching a major reboot, that sort of outlay is a luxury they cannot justify. Casemiro now looks set to be the biggest prize on the free agent market. The Daily Mail reports that LA Galaxy are the frontrunners. The Americans genuinely want to make him their designated player, an MLS mechanism that allows a star's salary to exceed the cap. For Galaxy, it is not just about adding quality in midfield. The club has a history of bringing in big names, and Casemiro is viewed as a player who can boost the franchise's global profile. Saudi Arabian money is also on the horizon, with backers ready to pay heavily, but Casemiro is not in a hurry. He intends to weigh up his options after the season's final whistle. Even so, his exit leaves a bitter taste at Old Trafford. He arrived as a serial winner, the man expected to bring control and authority back to midfield. For a long time, he delivered perfectly. Even now, with many writing him off, he produces top-level performances like the recent away match at Fulham, where he practically ran the show in the middle. On paper, the move is logical. Refresh the squad, trim the wage bill. Emotionally, it is harder. United's real issue is that they never built the right structure around him. Too often, he was not asked to fit into a system, but to put out fires alone and cover gaps in the team's constant tactical chaos. Rather than dictate play, he had to correct teammates' errors. It is a familiar post-Ferguson pattern. Sign an elite player, use him incorrectly, then let him go for long-term sustainability. Now Casemiro will head for new leagues, and Manchester will be left wondering if the young newcomers can bring even half the class and mentality the Brazilian takes with him. Barcelona are close to making one of their most important decisions, one that will shape the team's attack in the near future. The Catalans must determine whether Robert Lewandowski is part of their plans for next season. The Pole is 37, entering the twilight of his career, and his contract ends on June 30th. Not so long ago, it seemed certain the Blaugrana would let the veteran go and enter the market for a new striker. Behind closed doors, the leading name to replace him was Julian Alvarez from Atletico. Yet, according to reports from ESPN's Moy Lorenz, the thinking at Camp Nou has shifted. The executives are now seriously weighing an extension. The club is prepared to keep the striker, but only with a firm condition. To stay, he must accept a pay cut. This initiative is being driven partly by Hansi Flick. The German coach is pleased with his player. Lewandowski's role has been more managed this season, and he is no longer a guaranteed starter for 90 minutes. But his quality hasn't vanished. 12 goals in 27 matches is a solid return for a veteran. Flick believes Robert can still provide leadership in the dressing room. Inside Barca, there is even talk of a deal running to 2027, seeing him as an ideal mentor. Still, there is a nuance. Extending the Pole does not mean the club will stop searching for a new number 9. Barcelona's main objective remains signing a top-level forward who can offer real competition for a starting spot. In that scenario, Lewandowski would have to accept a reduced role. The financial side is also pressing. Robert is one of the squad's top earners. Lowering his wages would lighten the bill and give Deco more room to maneuver in the summer window. Right now, there have been no formal talks. Deco and Flick plan to meet with the player soon to clarify the situation. Lewandowski isn't commenting on his future, but his actions speak volumes. He has already declined lucrative offers from the Saudi Pro League, clearly signaling that he wants to remain at the highest level. In practice, this is a typical scenario for the final chapter of a legend's career, a choice between ambition and reality. If Lewandowski accepts lower financial terms and a smaller role, he will finish his career on a high note. If not, Barcelona will let him leave without regret because no one is irreplaceable. Newcastle United have entered the race for Dusan Vlahović. Calciomercato reports that the Magpies are seriously sounding out a move for the Serbian, who could be a free agent as early as next summer. Negotiations over a new deal at Juventus have hit a wall. His current contract runs out at the end of the season, and the old lady is held back by financial constraints. Vlahović isn't against staying in Italy, he is comfortable in Serie A, but he absolutely refuses to accept lower wages. His demands are significant. 12 million euros net per year. Juventus simply cannot carry that cost, so they are prepared to let their number 9 leave for nothing just to ease the wage bill. In that context, Vlahović becomes a massive opportunity for top clubs. Landing a striker of this caliber with no transfer fee is a huge coup in today's overheated market. Guys, quick pause, make sure to hit like or dislike on this video. Every reaction matters. Thanks for your support, it really helps the channel. Newcastle understand this better than anyone. Eddie Howe has decent attacking depth, but he knows you cannot pass up an opportunity like this. Still, there are complications. Vlahović currently earns roughly £200,000 a week. For the Magpies, who maintain a strict wage structure, adding someone on that salary could unsettle the dressing room. Breaking the financial balance for one player always carries risk. The club will want ironclad assurances that the Serbs' motivation and fitness match the project's ambition. And Newcastle are not alone, Chelsea are also in the picture. The Blues are looking to boost an attack that has shown a chronic lack of threat. For the London side, a proven striker available for free is an obvious target, but it's not straightforward there either. There are concerns about the wage structure and the player's reliability. Does a $12 million a year deal for a footballer returning from surgery fit the long-term plan? Chelsea are trying to find stability, and signing an expensive but injury-prone asset could set them back. Milan shouldn't be ruled out either. The Rossoneri can offer stability and a familiar setting. But let's be realistic. If Dusan wants a new challenge and crucially wants to keep his income level, Italy is unlikely to compete with England. Premier League finances operate in a different stratosphere. So the most likely destination is the Premier League. Newcastle are already doing the groundwork. The situation is typical of modern football. Clubs focus on free agents to save on fees but end up overpaying the player directly. Free cheese only exists in a mousetrap, and with Vlahović, that mousetrap is his massive salary. We will see who blinks first. Pragmatic Newcastle or big spending Chelsea. On the surface, things look calm for Wojciech Szczęsny at Barcelona, yet after June 30th, his future is uncertain again. The experienced Polish goalkeeper is clearly comfortable in Catalonia. He accepted the role of backup and sometimes even third choice, without complaint, providing reliable cover for Joan Garcia. This approach is valued inside the club. The Blaugrana are more than satisfied with his work ethic and dressing room presence. That is why, last summer, the club extended the 35-year-old's contract by 2 years, up to 2027. At the time, the decision looked natural. The only surprise was the length, as 2 years is significant for a veteran. But later, it became clear that the contract contains important fine print. Sport reports that the new deal includes clauses allowing the sporting department to make independent decisions. In practical terms, Barcelona can trigger a termination clause at the end of this season. The cost is around 2 million euros in compensation, a figure agreed in advance given the strong relationship between player and club. Why was this included? Because the goalkeeper department is being reshaped. For next season, one thing is clear: Joan Garcia is the undisputed number 1. That is not in question. The real question is, who will back him up? Marc-Andre ter Stegen, currently on loan at Girona, has been injured again. Being realistic, after his return, his future at the club appears virtually over. As for Szczęsny, the existence of a 2 million euro release condition strongly suggests Barcelona may have other plans for the backup role. Deco may have someone younger in mind, or someone on a different wage level. A final choice hasn't been made, as Flick and Deco are still assessing who should support Garcia. But this contract protection alone indicates that Szczęsny's place is far from guaranteed. This is purely a business decision, not a personal one.